Hello guys, what is going on? I'm Nozza and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing another 3-episode rule. I have done a previous one on the badminton anime called Hanabado. So if you're into your sports anime and you want to know what the first 3 episodes were like, then make sure to check out that video on my channel. But yeah, I feel like we need some more facts with these videos. So straight away what I'm going to do is I'm just going to nip on over to my notes and read out some facts for you. So this 3-episode rule is on Harukana Recieve, which is a beach volleyball anime, if you didn't know. If you're watching this and you're like, what is this? It's a beach volleyball anime. The studio is C2C. I've actually never heard of them or never watched anything that they produced before this, but I did do a quick look up, and from the vast majority of what they've done, I think there's about one thing that doesn't look Mo. Everything else looks like Mo, like full on Mo. There's a lot of studios at the moment in time which are like pretty much just pumping out as many Mo anime as they can, and this studio seems to be like one of those. The main characters are Haruka, Kanata, Narumi. You can tell by how important the characters are by how far away I'm going from the camera just to read them. Ayesa, Claire, and Emily. There's 3 main characters, but there's really only 2. There's Haruka and Kanata. I would even go to say there's only 1, being Kanata, because right, I'll get onto that in a minute, but yeah, so those are all the characters, those are all the facts. Let's actually get into my review on what I thought of the first 3 episodes. But like I said when I was talking about Mo, if you like Mo anime and it's like really, and you like the look of like the trailer, whatever for this, then just because it's Mo, then you'll probably really like at least the first 3 episodes anyway. There's a lot of cute stuff, and especially in episode 3, there's an actual full-on moment where the main character Haruka is being very, very protective of the Mo character of the anime, being Kanata. I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of cute girls because it is a beach volleyball, a female beach volleyball anime, so you're gonna get that if you want that. But also Kanata being like a small character, you know, she is what I assume a lot of people are really going to love about this anime. It's not only just because of the way she looks, but also because of how much attention the actual writers give to this character. I assume they've just decided to like double, even triple down on this character when it comes to writing. Yeah, Kanata seems to be primarily the main character, even though it's set out and written from the beginning for Haruka to be the main character. This is because there is 3 primary growth moments in the character within the first 3 episodes. That in every single episode is focused on her and her growth as a character, as a beach volleyball player, and it's very weird because because there's 1 per episode, the pacing is very, very fast and it feels like it's being rushed slightly. But overall, it's just kind of surprising how much attention they are giving to a character which wasn't sort of advertised as the main character. However, despite Narumi only being in 2 episodes of the anime out of the 3 episodes, she by far, to me anyway, is the most interesting character. I feel the most empathy towards her, and overall, when she was in episode, I think it was episode 2. Yeah, it was episode 2. She had like a really, really intense emotional moment, and that was the moment where I felt most connected to the anime and to the characters within it. Now, she doesn't get much screen time in terms of like character building or anything like that. To be honest, there isn't too much of a character to her, yet she definitely had the most intense feelings throughout the anime and actually felt the most like a person. Now, there is some is a bit weird, actually. I don't know whether people noticed it or just didn't really care when they're actually making the anime, but but the primary like 3-episode arc sort of for Kanata was the fact that she sort of shunned the beach volleyball and gave up on Narumi. Like I said, like that was a really intense moment finding that out and why. Because she deemed herself primarily like it was herself. She deemed herself as too small or not tall enough to be Narumi's partner, and therefore she gave up mid-match, and that left a massive hole in their relationship, but also in Kanata's relationship with volleyball. But the thing is, in every single scene of the flashback with Kanata and Narumi, they are exactly the same height in every single scene. Even the scene with the match, they're knelt down a lot of the time, but you can tell that if there is a height difference, if Narumi has grown a bit taller, like I said, it's only a bit. So I don't know why they made that choice. It just doesn't make sense. The only way it would make sense is if Kanata was so tall compared to Narumi when they started being a team together. Like Kanata was like it towered over, and she always felt like this power player. And the fact that when the sort of scale started to shift, she couldn't really handle that. But we actually see flashbacks of when they first met and became a team, and they were the same height then. So I don't understand that at all. It just seems such a weird choice, because someone had to make that choice, and it doesn't make sense. The only thing I can see is very as being a reason is very artificial. It's because she is like I said, the main drive for the show when it comes to the Mo aspect of it, and having her be like a towering figure at the beginning, maybe not be seen as feminine. I don't know. Would be a downside to that. That's the only reason I can think of, but it's not a good enough reason for the story, I don't think. However, saying that, when it comes to her height, it does make sense, and most importantly, I have to stress this, most importantly, justifies Kanata's decision-making later on, when it's not about the flashbacks, it's about her in her current state of mind, and her relationship with volleyball, and her growth. Like I said, the first 3 episodes are about her growth, so if the decision-making behind her quitting beach volleyball initially, and also her feeling towards beach volleyball when we meet up with her in the present time, if that didn't make sense, then the growth aspects of the first 3 episodes wouldn't make sense either. It would be completely meaningless. So I'm glad that she's been written and the flashbacks were taking care of the character, so I could empathize with her at least well enough in order to get something out of this 3-episode character arc. Moving on to a bit of the minutiae of the anime, I really like that the first 2 episodes didn't waste time with eds. They had like end credits and stuff like that, but they didn't waste time in not telling a story. They used that time, that 1 minute 30 at the end of the anime, to tell the story, primarily to wrap it up. But they gave them that 1 minute 30 was also spread out throughout the episode, because then they could do all the wrapping up that they would do before the ed, during the ed. And I really appreciated that. I'm sad that it wasn't in episode 3 though, and I'm pretty certain that it won't happen again, or if it does, it won't be like consistent. Another tiny whiny thing is that they were really good at explaining a lot of the rules with beach volleyball. People that weren't used to like volleyball and the rules and stuff like that, you know, they wouldn't be lost. But the one main thing was that signals. Like, they were never really explained or anything like that. And it makes sense, because why would you use signals if you're a beginner? And everything was explained from the perspective of Haruka, and she didn't need to know about signaling, so we didn't do signaling. We're still sort of going back and forth on the explanation of setting and stuff like that, so that'll be for the future, probably when we get into the tournament arc. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense that they would explain the signaling, but it's used so often, and it changes as well. Like, from like no fingers to like 1 finger to like 2 fingers, you know, it changes. So I'd like to know what that means, because I actually don't know what that means. Maybe it's separate for every individual partners, I don't know. And finally, the original soundtrack. This is going to be a really weird opinion, and I don't know if anybody will agree with me or not, because it seems to be it's very personal. Was that I found it very strange and incredibly memorable, because sometimes it reminded me of Coraline, the movie. Like, if you haven't seen it, it's an animated stop-motion movie. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time, and the soundtrack from that, in places in this OST, was very, very similar. But then at times, especially during the matches, it reminded me of Fallout 4 really weirdly as well. Like, the soundtrack for that, primarily the first song on the soundtrack. I don't know, the one that was used in the trailers, there's one that's used on the menu and stuff like that. There was one particular song in the original soundtrack that reminded me of that, and so that's gonna stick in my head for a while, just because of those 2 comparisons, how so worlds apart they are different from each other, but also the fact that I made them comparisons in the first place. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be for now. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I have been Nozza, and I shall see you in the next one. Goodbye.